Okay, this is pretty much going to be a throwaway hype video because we have the news coming out tomorrow that everything discussed in this video will have the answers in less than 24 hours. That's kind of what makes this so crazy. You wake up this morning, oh, by the way, Pokemon Direct is coming out tomorrow. There's going to be like immediate gratification and just going to be 24 hours of hype that we wake up, we get through our day, we go to bed, we wake up early, and then we have Pokemon information. So that's kind of what makes this crazy. There's no marking your calendars, there's no waiting a few days. We just jump straight into the Pokemon news. But there are a few things to discuss. Now, I already did a news video earlier today. I kind of gave my thoughts. I really feel like it's going to be a Nintendo Switch 3DS announcement for a new Pokemon game. But this video is going to talk about, is it Diamond Pearl remakes, or is it going to be a direct sequel to Pokemon Sun and Moon? Because both have a lot of viability, but I've been seeing way more people wanting the Diamond Pearl remakes than the next version of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I didn't really talk about that too much in my news video. Also, I kind of noticed this and I mentioned it, but I didn't really go deep into the ideas of having Gold, Silver, Crystal Virtual Console being released tomorrow or in 2 days or later this week or something like that. Because when we look at the original Pokemon Sun and Moon Pokemon Direct presentation, they had this right here. The original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow versions will be available. Download from tomorrow. So, like, that was super surprising. We're all caught up in the hype. Like, it all comes together. We got Pokemon Sun and Moon, new games, and then, oh, by the way, Virtual Console to hold you guys over. And I'm wondering if that's a possibility. Now, the first thing I thought was, well, this was back in February, so we had, you know, late February, early March release for new Pokemon games, or like the Virtual Console games, and that's going to give people a couple months to play through that, get ready for Pokemon Sun and Moon. However, this is where there's like a little bit of a time shift, because we couldn't use Pokemon Bank to actually transfer these Pokemon until months after when we got the Pokemon Bank for Pokemon Sun and Moon. So maybe that kind of skews what's going on here, and there's still a possibility that we can get Gold, Silver, Crystal, and that really won't interfere with the launch lineup. So we can just play these games throughout the summer, stay hype about Pokemon. Pokemon Bank should be almost immediately ready for the new Pokemon game that's coming out, and then we can transfer Gold, Silver, Crystal, and now there's actually something to do. Because Pokemon Sun and Moon has been pretty dead for the last couple months, and that's also why people are interested in a Diamond Pearl remake more, because there's more game mechanics to be explored. When it's coming to a sequel version for Pokemon Sun and Moon, the most we can get out of that is, well, we can expand upon the features and maybe have Pokemon following you. But also, Pokemon following you, that's from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, 4th generation. So if they put this on the Switch and they add extra features to the Switch version or something like that, or they make Pokemon following you work even on the 3DS, that might be like a callback to the 4th generation of Heart Gold, Soul Silver, which is one of the greatest Pokemon games of all time, if not the greatest Pokemon game of all time. So because of that, that could also hint, because there is data for Pokemon walking animations and running animations that kind of line up with the player. Now, we don't know if that's confirmed, we don't know if that ended up being scrapped or if it was being tested in 3DS for something else, so there is a lot of viability here. And don't get me wrong, I'm on the camp for there going to be a Pokemon Sun and Moon remake version being announced tomorrow, but that doesn't mean I don't want Diamond Pearl remake. I do want a Diamond Pearl remake more than a Pokemon Sun and Moon, but the problem is, I think it's just going to stack too close with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and it's just so hard to call at this point, because people could go with like the patterns and all the timelines and stuff, be like, well, if we follow this timeline and then do this and then do this, and then that means Diamond Pearl remakes, it could make a lot of sense. But also, we skipped over Z version, and we haven't had a traditional remake since Platinum version, because we had Black and White 2, then we had Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire technically being the remake to Pokemon X and Y, because the Kalos region was really well fleshed out. Problem with the Alola region, there's still a few things to cover. That everything was under development as we're going through the story of Pokemon Sun and Moon. The Championship League is being made. One thing that people have been speculating about are gyms, because while the trials were cool and change of pace, people just want to run through the game, not have their hand held through the story and get a bajillion cutscenes. They want to crash into some gyms and have some fun and then play some Pokemon. So with that, we do see all these empty spaces, and I mean, I've made several videos talking about these empty plots. There's one in Howley City, there's a couple on every island. There's one over here in the Seafolk Village, we can see one there, there's one there. So I mean, we know that there's a lot of just these empty plots that could represent a gym at some point, and then that could go with the development that, oh, now they have the Championship League, maybe it's time to go and just have gyms and create a more standard structure, that way tourists can participate instead of having to be like this huge trial and going with the culture. Now, I don't understand that as well, though, that if all of these land plots become gyms, then that means you're kind of going through this whole cultural thing and you're just abandoning the culture for modern technology, which is kind of an issue that's happening in the modern world. I think that'd be a little too real for Pokemon to do, unless you unless it's the same game, you know, you go through the trials and then the gyms are built and then it's just pretty much like Pokemon Sun and Moon Plus. I don't know what could happen there, but then what else is there to expand upon? But when it comes to Diamond and Pearl, this is where all of my favorite game mechanics have ever been introduced come into play. I mean, the underground, I thought the 3rd generation had me. I thought with secret bases, that was the greatest thing ever. But underground secret bases with mining and then getting resources that way, that is absolutely amazing. I love that. Also, ball capsules. You know, I kind of appreciate the finer things in life, such as really well-groomed and crafted balls. That if you can have those Pokemon with their balls in the most perfect style, that's just what makes life complete for me. So I'm really looking forward to that in Pokemon Diamond Pearl remake version, and just a lot of the other mechanics. You know, the contests were really fun, that there was a little bit of extra layers to everything, and it just felt like a major game. But that you go around, you collect tons of items, you go through, and it was really a big game for everything that was available to you. It's kind of the same Pokemon Sun and Moon, and kind of not. That it feels like there's a lot of items and a lot of things to collect, but it's really condensed, and then just boils down into, you got the battle tree, and that's kind of it. And unfortunately, the Battle Royal just kind of fell apart as well, that not a lot of people really got into that. I guess it might just because once one trainer loses, then the score is determined, instead of like having a 3v3 or like a, you know, 3-man showdown, then a 1v1 finisher. I know it is to make the battles go by quicker, but it seems like it wasn't exactly what the community was expecting, and because of that, it just didn't get any play whatsoever. But we've pretty much thoroughly explored everything, and unless like a new island just kind of pops up, which is kind of hard to justify, you know, with other remakes and other versions, you can actually like have access to other parts of the region, just kind of open up or add something to it. And I don't really see much of that happening in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and people are already complaining about the game. So unless they just like throw in a ton of late game out of nowhere, just kind of Game Freak fabricates this and makes it to where there's a ton of things to do and a lot more introduced, then Pokemon Sun and Moon might fall flat, which is not what the fans want, but also it's what Game Freak wants to make as well. If they want to complete the story in their way, then maybe we'll get more in Diamond Pearl, because yeah, it's weird that Diamond Pearl kind of has that more open feel to it. When you're just going around doing items and then like, oh, you have to do all these other things. I love the underground. So maybe there could be some expansion right there. And other than that, I think that's kind of what to talk about with Diamond Pearl version. I did want to go back to the Red, Blue, and Yellow remakes because I got really distracted. I kind of wanted to talk about the Gold, Silver, Crystal, and then talk about if you guys are on this side for Pokemon Sun and Moon remakes or Pokemon Diamond Pearl remakes. I want to talk about this part first because I am looking forward to so many things. I've done a video just talking about all the features I look forward to in a Gold, Silver, Crystal that can actually transfer over. That we could have that original Lugia or Ho-Oh. You can have the original Legendary Beast. And then, hey, whoa, what's that? Legendary Beast, they don't have their hidden abilities. What happens when you transfer Pokemon gets their hidden ability? Same with Lugia and Ho-Oh. That multi-scale Lugia, well, that was Dream Radar. I don't know many people that have played the Dream Radar, let alone transfer their hidden ability Pokemon all the way up through the Dream Radar like that. So this is going to give another opportunity. And it's going to be, you know, 7th generation legal. That it won't be a 5th generation Pokemon that's kind of lost in time. That this will pretty much always be relevant. That anyone can just download Silver version at any time, catch the legendaries, transfer it over with Pokemon Bank, and now you can get just instant on command, not outdated Pokemon transfer like that, and it's less steps. So it works out really well. And I think that that's another opportunity that we have here with the Pokemon, and then shiny hunting. I can't, like, Pokemon Sun and Moon is missing one thing for reals, and that's shiny hunting. Now, the shiny hunting Pokemon Sun and Moon, you have SOS, and it's just the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not as diverse as we saw in the 6th generation. And with this, at least there's another way of doing it, that if you get a shiny Ditto in the 2nd generation, shiny Pokemon actually improve the odds of shiny breeding. So you can actually reduce the odds of having a shiny Pokemon bred in Gold and Silver version by just going out and getting a shiny Ditto or having a shiny Pokemon breeding it that way. So at least there's going to be extra things for shiny hunters to do, and I'm really looking forward to that. Also, just a little bit of the, like, glitches. It's always fun to go back into an old Pokemon game and see what you can get away with. I don't think we're going to be able to do any arbitrary code execution like with Red, Blue, and Yellow, but I mean, there's going to be some fun things. And then also playing through the game again. If you want to play Silver version now or Gold version now, for the most part, all those cartridges are dead unless you replace the battery, And even then, if you want to use a ROM or an emulator, Nintendo is very against that. So it would be in Nintendo's best interest to go and release this, especially because the Red, Blue, Yellow Virtual Console has sold over 1.5 million copies. If you want to print money, that is how you print money. Now, that's millions of dollars in just free revenue right there for just like putting a game on the Nintendo eShop. Also, the stats that we have, that was $1.5 million over a year ago. That was April 2016. So there's probably like 2 million copies sold of these games. I feel like Gold, Silver, Crystal, they're going to sell pretty much the exact same amount. It's not like less people are going to buy it. This is still the old school fan base of Pokemon that wants to play these games. I lost my Game Boy. My parents probably sold some of my games and cards and stuff like that, you know, giving them away to younger kids, the next generation. But I still wanted to play them as I grew up. And then it's like, okay, don't want to spend all this money on a Game Boy, all this money on a Silver version, then I can't do anything with it. Like on the Virtual Console, I can record that for content. You know, that's what a lot of PokeTubers can do with it. And then you have this thing already with the 3DS you're carrying around. That way you don't have to carry around a Game Boy, a 3DS, and all the other things that you need to potentially have a better Pokemon experience. So with this, there's a lot of features, there's a lot of potential. I think the timing could line up. They just play Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal throughout the summer. When I first saw it, I was like, well, this was announced so much earlier. You know, would they stack Gold and Silver version this close to the new Pokemon game with the announcement? I'm guessing yes, because there's nothing going on with Pokemon Sun and Moon. And it was just kind of something they dropped in the last Pokemon Direct, so I'd really hope to see that again, and it would make sense that this is the whole thing. They're talking about, oh, you can't transfer from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance, so we're unlocking that first generation of Pokemon. Well, what about the second generation? Also, that means Shiny Celebi. Shiny Celebi gets a legitimate reason to be distributed in some way to your Virtual Console game, transport over, and now there's real, legitimate Shiny Celebis from the second generation games that could never make it over anyway. So there's going to be a couple of exclusives, and that's kind of it. Also looking forward to the new Pokemon game. No matter what, if it's Diamond Pearl Remake, if it's Pokemon Sun and Moon Remake, we're going to have move tutor options, and that's going to change the game. I can talk about most anticipated move tutors. I can talk about things that we need in the next Pokemon game, regardless Diamond Pearl, Sun and Moon. I'm just going to figure out what it is, and then base my videos that way, and that's kind of it. Or maybe we get some kind of crazy hybrid, but Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was like a hybrid of X and Y plus a sequel, so I don't really think we're getting that. There's a lot of questions left open, but there's a lot of fun things to look forward to. And like I said, we'll know in a couple hours, so it could matter, couldn't matter, or did everyone leave this video and they're not even listening to me? Therefore, I'm crazy and talking to myself. Who knows? If you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.